Evening, everybody, and welcome back to a live Q&A with me, Leigh from Coombe Valley Campers. I'm just going to adjust that light down. How is everybody? So for those who have not tuned in before, we go live on a Sunday between the hours of 8 and 9 p.m, ready to answer your questions about all things camper van conversion, camper vans, maybe something to do with YouTube or shows or traveling, whatever it is you want. Please feel free to ask me a question and I will do my best to answer it. If not, alternatively, you can email us at info@coomvalleycampers.co.uk and we can go ahead and give you a more thorough answer. And already we've got people tuning in to say hello, which is wonderful. Who have we got so far? We've got James. He has tuned in this evening. He says, good evening, Leigh. Good evening, my man. It's very, very good to see you. Danny Sykes is in. He says, good evening once again. Tony Hemans, he says, nearly missed this again. Very nice to see you all. Thanks for joining us again. A very, very rushed Sunday once again. I've literally just finished my last mouthful of dinner because the girls wanted to cook some food for mummy tonight. So we did. They have a kids cookbook. So this morning they decided what they wanted to make. We went to the supermarket today and yeah, between the hours of 5 and 7, we were preparing, and I've literally had about 12 minutes to finish it all off, and here I am here. So I'll have to go back to clean up the kitchen and eat my pudding afterwards, which is all good, Legend 87 says, hi mate, great video again. Well, thank you very much. Adrian Johnson says, evening. Motivate says, hey camper freaks, good evening, Motivate. Mark Squires says, hi Leigh. Simon Massey says, evening Leigh, hope you're good. Karen Passmore says, evening Leigh. James says, I've just brought a new sliding door for my T5. It's from a multivan. Do they take the same windows? And Tippy Travel says, evening all. Multivans, I believe the only thing different in the door frames for multivans are the actual inside window aperture trims. So you can take, well, if it's a door from a multivan, you can literally strip everything out of the door frame, so all that big thick inner trim, and then you could just put a normal ply door card on it or an original style door card on it. You just have to remove all of the caravel door stuff. But in terms of window aperture, yes, that is all the same. R1H1, that's my man Ross. He says vegetable pudding, presumably. Yes, so the kiddies cookbook is a plant-based kiddies cookbook, and the pudding they found was a chia chocolate pudding. So that is, I guess, stewing in the fridge right now whilst all the chia seeds absorb, and so hopefully by the time I get around to it, it should be lovely. It's chocolate and chia seeds and milk, and yes, amazing. So that's all good. Kieran T says, great video tonight, mate. Is that tonight or to grab? He said. The Brass Monkey Wedding Band, good evening, says, hi Leigh, how goes it? Yeah, absolutely brilliant, thank you very much. Ross says, that sounds banging, shall I come say hello in the race car? Lol. Not for the next hour, dude. James says, just what I wanted to hear, thanks. You are more than welcome. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, the caravel door is effectively the same. They just trim the inside differently. So yeah. So bearing in mind, we've just had a Mother's Day type dinner. I've got a bit of gin and tonic on the go. You seen those little tins from Aldi? Those wonderful little tins? They're like 95p. Awesome stuff. Pre-mixed, don't have to do anything, and they taste great. So if you are drinking this evening, or if you've got something in your hand, what have you got? It's a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever. I've got G&T tonight. Leave a comment down below. It's always good to get the interaction going. Loads of fun. But before then, let's do some questions. Motivate says, something I forgot to ask a while back. After removing the T6 bulkhead, the two-part roof lining has a little sag. Is there a remedy for this? Where is the sag, my man? Where is the sag? Is it towards the cab or is it towards the back? Kieran T say, is it okay to fit a leisure battery in the engine bay and run the battery positive back through the dash trims, etc. to the back? If you can find room to put a second battery in the engine bay, then yes, I guess you can. And yes, as long as the cable is safely routed and grommeted, or at least sleeved with some sort of conduit or copex, then yes, you can quite safely route the cable through. If you have a look at our VWT5 video, for example, you can see where I've routed the cable through safely through existing grommets and existing cable routes, and that works absolutely fine. Where are we? Right, back to Motivate with this headliner sag. It's towards the cab. Do you still have the headliner strip that goes between the cab headliner and the middle section? Let's call it the middle section headliner. Kieran T has come back and said, I'm thinking of wires getting hot. No, wires shouldn't be getting hot. If your wires are getting hot, there's something desperately wrong. Because the live that goes from your leisure battery effectively back to your, say if you've got a vehicle battery and a leisure battery in the engine bay, they should just be performing as any first and second battery should be. And then the lead that goes through the engine bulkhead, dashboard, etc., that should just be the hot lead effectively, hot live lead that goes from the battery to your fuse panel. That lead that trails through should be fused at the battery end, and it should be going into a fuse panel, so then you can distribute your cables from there. Silver Fox Build says, evening folks, on the video, thumbs up, needed that. Tippy Travels, Winter Van Life says, Leigh, it's brilliant that you find time to do this. It's very helpful and appreciated. Do you know what? We're all not doing a lot really between the hours of 8 and 9. Tonight's slightly different, obviously, as I've explained, but it really is a decent time for me to just talk to you guys, connect, answer your questions, because most of you, I'm sure, worked throughout the week and don't have time to call us at the workshop or whatever. So if I can take an hour out to help you guys, it's all a win, right? I really enjoy the interaction. It really helps us as a channel, but most of all, if I can help you guys with your vans, etc., then it's all a win. So do excuse me. What we're drinking, peeps? No one said yet. Neil Robinson, he says, hi mate, just put in a double swivel seat and it's a bit tight. Keep hitting the armrest on the driver's seat. Any solutions? Any swivel seat in any van does take a bit of practice. We fit numerous swivel seats to numerous vans with numerous brands of swivel seat. And even before we've tested the seat and to a point where we can show the customer confidently, this is how you do it. It takes us, 5, 10, 20 minutes to make sure we've got that method right. So you might have to move it forward a bit more. You might have to move it left a bit more. If it's tight, you might have to loosen some bits and pieces up just to get that working smoothly. Really, I mean, at the end of the day, those seats, when they were designed to fit in the fronts of vans, they weren't designed to swivel ever. So there is always going to be some tight tolerances or some rubbing against this or any other. So it's not too much of a big deal, bearing in mind how often or how infrequently you will be spinning that seat. So, but if it is a real problem, maybe have a chat with the manufacturer and see how you can improve on making that process of swiveling it a little bit more efficient. Right. Sorry, I'm going through the comments. There's loads of you. Thank you so much. The Brass Monkey Wedding Band says, I'm in the finishing stages of converting my VWT5 short wheelbase. I wanted to ask your advice about where to store a portable toilet and which brand you recommend. Converting a T5 short wheelbase, I want to ask your advice on where to store your portable toilet and which brand you recommend. Right, so what is the layout of your van? It's kind of a difficult question to answer without actually seeing it, knowing what your needs are. The brands for toilets, I think Thetford is the go-to for brands for toilets. When we do the 2KT5, we're going to be putting a toilet in it, but we'll be putting it right at the back so you can open the tailgate and effectively release the cartridge, the waste cartridge. So that's where you're going to be putting that. In Bully, we have a little buddy seat where we put the toilet in, and then as and when we need it, we can just remove the whole thing and leave it in its location when we're on campsite. It does really depend. I mean, if you want a more comprehensive answer, maybe send me some photos of the interior, and we can maybe give you some more advice. Motivate says, I do have the headliner strip. Do you mean the top half of the bulkhead? No. So in a T5, T6, you've obviously got the cab headliner and then a strip. Then you've got the middle headliner and another strip. And then you've got the rearmost strip, which goes all the way to the tailgate. If you find your roof is sagging, you're either missing some clips, missing the strips, or it's just an old headliner and it has started to sag. The 3.6mm ply kits that we do sell on our website, they do stop that, because obviously they're brand new boards. The original VW headliner cards are only sort of hardboard, and with age, maybe a bit of damp in the vehicle, condensation on the roof, constantly dripping on it, they do get old, they do get tired, so that's maybe why you've got the sagging. Gosh, so many comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next one is Karen Passmore. I have bought a Rymo multi-rail. Do you know what is the proper mastic to use when fixing? So the Rymo rail and the Vamoose rail, they rely on mechanical and a polyurethane bond. The mechanical fixing is purely the screws to get it located, and then over time, obviously, the bond cures and sets in. A black Tiger seal is fine, or a Sikaflex. A Sikaflex 212 or 221. I can't quite quote it at the moment, but yes, it's one of those two. Sorry, am I far away today? Do you want to see the colour of my eyes, or am I a bit too far away? I can't quite tell. Danny Sykes has just got home from a great 5-hour drive. We went to Peppa Pig World in Southampton and just got back to Leeds. Holy moly, that is a distance just to go to Peppa Pig World. The 2006 T5 made the journey with no problems and was such a great drive. First big drive. Congratulations, Danny. That sounds awesome. And I hope you enjoyed the South Coast, or whatever you saw of it. It's always nice when you're a bit nervous about a trip, but you know in your minds that you've got everything prepared. Like, you've done an oil check, you've topped up your washer fluid, you've done the tyre pressures, things like that. It just kind of gives you that nice, like, little boost when you've got to the end of your journey and you know nothing's gone wrong. Obviously, it's always a possibility that something will go wrong. But I know when we went to Europe last year, obviously we had 2.5 to 3,000 mile trip in a 40-year-old car, but we had gone through everything before. And the only thing that did break was the exhaust silencer snapped at the flex. In fact, the flexi part of the used exhaust that we got cracked at one of the flexes, and that was the only thing that really went wrong. But yeah, there's always that nervous feeling in your heart, isn't there? That shit, you know, what if we do break down, whatever. So to be able to finish the journey with no faults, despite the age of the vehicle, could be anything. But to get to the end and just go, did that, it's always a great feeling. So well done. Motivate says, the plastic strip. Yes, I do, and it's on. It's just a bit out of an eyesore currently. You can retrim those plastic strips, Motivate. When we do headliners, we will normally carpet line, if the customer asks, we'll carpet line the headliner boards, and then we carpet line those plastic strips to fit, to match. Here we go. Gosh, again, so many comments. Dylan says, I was wondering if you've seen the new flush windows from Camperglass as yet. My factory combis are leaking. I have seen the flush windows. We have spoken with Camperglass in the past. Do you mean the flush openers or the flush sliders? Let me know. Factory combi windows are leaking. Do leak, yes, and they are crap. Kieran T, as long as the battery positive is okay being hidden in trims, conduit, etc. to the fuse board, then I might do that. Just trying to save space at the back. Okay, my man. Tony's got, is that a tea or a coffee? It looks like a black coffee. No, that's, whoa. I tried to zoom into the comments then. We do not want that. That is gross. Nobody wants to see me that closely. Tony's got a coffee. Alex, is that Lafrogue 10? I'm going to guess that's a drink. Karen Passmore's got a tea. James has got a tea. Andrew Smith, cherry cider tonight, mate. Very nice. Alan Condy, Belhaven Best. Awesome job, people. Awesome job. And there's 42 people in the chat right now. We're 15 minutes in. There's 42 people in the chat. I really like that. So thank you so much. Give us your questions. And those 42 people in the chat, if you haven't already done so, if you would be so kind, hit the thumbs up button. It should be somewhere around this screen. It would be fantastic if you could do that because it really helps us out at a channel. And actually, whilst we are live, the more likes that go on to the video, it actually passes that out to more people who are just sort of browsing through YouTube, and it will suggest to watch this video because it's got a lot of interaction as well. So if you have got the ability, give us a thumbs up. It is really, really helpful. Or if you know people who might be interested in this right now, give them a share. That's always helpful too. Motivate says, at Neil Robinson, there is a part from Vancraft that allows the bench to fold down. This helps make it easier to swivel. Yes, we have fitted one from Vancraft in the past. We haven't done a video yet though. Silver Fox Build said, not strictly a camper thing, but just fit the new tyres and they clip the arch liner slightly, but only on the near side. I'm thinking possible subframe misalignment. Quite possibly. However, get the vehicle tracked properly first, because it may well have never been tracked in its life or had a professional alignment all round. You might have done it, I'm not entirely sure. But that could be a multitude of things. It could be worn bushes, it could be worn shocks, could be worn springs. Don't effectively go straight to the big C sort of thing. It's not the worst thing in the world. It might be 100 different things, especially in the front end of a vehicle. You've got drivetrain, suspension, brakes, tires, wheels, etc. There's so many things that could just have small variables. I wouldn't say that it's the worst thing possible straight off the bat. Okay. Brass Monkey Wedding Band says, I have a traditional rock and roll bed and kitchen pod behind the driver's seat. So, under your traditional rock and roll bed, it might be worth checking the measurement height between the floor and the base of the bed, because you could well get a small porta potty under there, and they're really, really quite good. Especially if it's just for emergencies. We don't want any number 2s in porta potties, that's for sure. Oh, what an H1. Ross says, we want to see your well-shaped dome. Thanks very much, man. Taxi driver, Mad Mossy, he says, good evening, Leigh and everybody from Mad Mossy in Bath. I've been putting some more Dodo Mat to the floor of my Mark V Transit. Test drove it and what a difference. Good stuff, this Dodo Mat. Yes, it is. Very, very much so. Tony says, Anthony Robinson, is your driving seat a swivel too? I've written myself some instructions that may help if you want. That's quite clever. Liz O'Toole, oh no, she's retracted the message. Motivate says, chai tea. Kieran T says, can a monster as I do paperwork. Perfect. Taxi driver says, is there a Dodo Mat product that can be wrapped around the exhaust box to deaden it? Obviously must be heat and fireproof. I don't know. Yes, sorry, excuse me for 1 second. There you go. Good night, sweetheart. I'll see you later. You going to say hello?
Hello.
That's my eldest. She wanted to have a say hello. Thank you. Loves to embarrass me, that one. Oh, the youngest one wants to come in as well. They've been very, very busy cooking dinner for Mummy, which is why they've got their pinnies and aprons on. Right, it's very late, young lady. Off you go.
No.
Thank you very much for your help this evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Is there a Dodo Mat product that can be wrapped around the exhaust box? No, I don't think so. However, you might be able to sound deaden the floor over that box, maybe from the underside of the van. But as far as an exhaust silencer goes, no. Have you checked for leaks? It might be your exhaust is a bit leaky. Silver Fox Build says that's the next move. Ross says only because my beard skills are poor. Liz O'Toole says making tea in Ireland whilst listening to you and watching the under-20s rugby. What a cool evening, Liz. What a cool evening. Liz, whereabouts in Ireland are you from? Because my wife and I have been discussing touring Ireland, like the West Coast, for the summer. Because we normally do Europe. Europe's great. We absolutely love it. However, we'd love to do Ireland. Has anybody toured Ireland in the chat right now? What do you think of Ireland? Is it a good place to go? What is it like in terms of cost, etc., etc.? And if any of you have any questions about travelling to Europe, I'll be more than happy to answer them. I'm not an expert. However, we do have lots of experience of travelling in Europe. In fact, we are going over in 2 weeks because we're going to the homeland. We're going back to Poland in a couple of weeks. The Brass Monkey Wedding Band says, I installed the new Rusty Leigh swivel double bass last weekend. Unbelievable weight in it, but it seems to be the business. It very much is the business, and they are heavy. That's because they are manufactured and tested to TÜV standards or German TÜV standards. So you know you're safe. These are tools from Dublin. I have been to Dublin. Wonderful city. Motivate says, regarding the roofliner, there is no damage to it nor any clips missing. It appears the bulkhead was holding the last part of it up, nearest the cab. I was hoping there was an easy fix. Send us some pictures, my man. The Brass Monkeys wedding band says, you can't beat the west coast of Ireland, that's where I live. Lots of super surf spots. Well, we'd just love to go because in a previous job, I had to visit, I used to work in high voltage power networks and all sorts of stuff. And I had to go to some of the hydro power stations on the west coast, and it is stunning. And I've always wanted to go there with a camper van. I think the roads and environment around there would suit the small camper vans, etc., etc. Where are we? Close the door then, Sweet Pea. Come on. Thank you. Brass Monkey Wedding Band says, great camping spots as well. Well, maybe you guys and myself need to have another chat about going over to Ireland. That's for sure. Because I would love to go. So who out there has been working on their van this weekend? What have you been doing to your van this weekend? Have any of you been out traveling in it or camping or anything similar like that? Because we always love to hear it, and we like to get advice as well. If you've been to a good campsite this weekend or a good walking spot this weekend, I'm sure everybody else on the chat would love to know also, for sure. In terms of our week and our weekend, oh gosh, what did we do this week? We completed a T5.1, no, a T6 day van conversion. So that was full insulation throughout and sound deadening, carpet lining throughout, diesel heater, 240 volt hookup using, if you saw on our stories this week, we used that really cool Transporter HQ rear door flap thing, really cool. We also had to waterproof the van and dry out the van because it had a leak because of poorly installed roof bars on the T5 as well. So that we had to sort lots of different things we had to sort on that van. But a good build. I worked lots of hours to be able to get that completed and done. So much so I'm a little bit behind moving into next week. But again, we've got lots and lots and lots of work to do, which is fantastic. Right, next questions. My apologies. Taxi driver says, how about a CVC meeting in the Isle of Wight? Isle of Wight, do you know what? I don't think I've been. I haven't been to the Isle of Wight. Isn't that just a very expensive, I know it's a beautiful place, but isn't that just a very expensive journey on the ferry? Most expensive ferry for the distance in the UK or in Europe? I can't quite remember. Adrian Johnson says, sorting out the 3 oil leaks on my T5 2.5. Where were those leaks, Adrian? Where were the leaks and how did you fix them? Ross says, still on for an exhaust tomorrow. I'll keep you posted. Contact me tomorrow. Brass Monkeys Wedding Band says, sure, get in touch if you're planning a trip. Happy to give you some pointers. Fantastic. James says, lent my van to my mum for 2 weeks to use as storage while she had her heating done. Still waiting to get it back 2 months later. Oh no, I know. Lending stuff to friends is good. Lending stuff to families. Sorry, lending stuff to friends is bad. Lending stuff to family is worse, isn't it? It's quite difficult. Liz says, I've just bought a rear-facing caravel seat that's meant to bolt onto the base of my T4 passenger seat, but it seems to be the wrong height. I have captain swivel seats. Liz, I believe that might be another one that you send us photos to. Just so we can have, a bit more detail about the problem, and then we might be able to offer a solution. If I don't know it, I know somebody within the scene or, the campervan community that would be able to help, that's for sure. Silver Fox Build says, wheel refurb, new tyres, completing the overcab pull-out bunk bed for the top, making adapter trim for the new Dometic skylight, being a busy one. See, from what I've seen of your builds, my man, anybody can build a campervan. And it's true, anybody can build a campervan, and we make the videos to help anybody out there build a campervan. But if you follow Silver Fox Builds, he'll fit something, and then by the looks of it, he'll spend 12 hours deciding how he's going to fit it better. And then he'll spend another 12 hours designing that part to make it better. And then he'll spend another 12 hours making that part and fitting that part to make it better. So yes, that is how I've seen your build, but the results are absolutely worth it. I've just been told that apparently I'm very blurry. It's probably... Am I very blurry to you? Let us know. Is the quality bad? Am I very blurry? Please let me know. In the meantime, I'm just going to clean maybe the front-facing camera on my phone. Let's see if that works. Hang on. How's that? Am I any clearer, people? I wouldn't want to be low quality video for you guys now. Motivate says, shall I send pics of the roofliner to your email or Facebook Messenger? Send them to my email, my man, info@coomvalleycampers.co.uk. Tony says, seconded for Silver Fox Builds. Great account. Yes, if you haven't watched the Silver Fox Builds on Instagram, or if you're not following his progress, be sure to go and do it. That is for certain. Adrian Johnson says, from the injector wiring loom, still to do, had the wrong turbo mounting bolt to the gasket, nightmare, and turbo boost pipes on with fitting the forge set. Nice. Well, we all have fun building the wagons, and if it wasn't down to us fixing the problems on our own vans, who would do it right, huh? The Brass Monkey Wedding Band says, you might be able to reciprocate advice on good camping spots in Scotland. Me and the missus thinking of making a trip when our van is complete. Yes. I admittedly haven't done much camping in Scotland. It's another thought we had to do this year. However, I don't want to get into the hustle and bustle of the NC 500. A friend of mine is going up to do the NC 500 early late spring, can't quite remember. He's going in a week or so. So what I'll do, I'll have a chat with him. If you are interested in finding out some more details on campsites, please let me know and I will find out from him. And of course, I will reciprocate. Silver Fox Builds has come back and said, lol, about right. Ross says, it's better now. Alex has said, not blurry here. Simon Massey has come into the chat. Good evening, my man. He says, I had a leaky window that over time has caused damage/damp to the ply battens under my 12mm floor. I've got the floor up at the moment. Do you think it's worth replacing battens or let them dry out? And he says, the main problem being that the ply under the floor insulation. If it's out and you've got the opportunity to change it, I know wood's expensive at the moment, but get it done. You know, it's like anything else. If you've got the opportunity to replace it, why not improve it? Things like brakes and tyres and all sorts of stuff. Obviously, budget's always a thing, and I understand that. But if you've got the opportunity to replace it like for like to something that isn't damaged, definitely get it changed if I were you, my man. I know when... I've just had a message come through, and it's the same time every week. Pris comps. Does anybody on here do Pris comps or Aspire comps? Every Sunday about 8:30, I get the email because their draw is tonight for the big prize for the week. And I've just had Pris comps come up saying, there's a Range Rover tonight. No thanks. No thanks. I don't want it. Silver Fox Builds has replied back to Tony and says, thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So who here in the chat has not made a comment so far? Because there's 33 of you watching. I can see you. I can see you. Who on the live chat at the moment hasn't commented? If not, why don't you give it a go? Let us know who you are for real. And by that, I mean, all I can see is your YouTube usernames. I cannot see your name, your van, or your location. And it's always nice to know who's watching and where. So if you haven't commented before and you're one of the 38 now watching online right now, maybe just tap down below in the comments and say, hi, my name's X, I drive Y, and I'm from Z. It's always nice to hear and see where you're from. That's for sure. Lizzo Tools come back on and says, my son just fitted a diesel heater outside the van near the rear wheel. Seen posts about a fault appearing if it's put in a box, but it's okay to leave it open to the elements. Now, A, which diesel heater, and B, did you get an outdoor heater? Because your diesel heaters, when you order them, can come designated to be IP65 rated, I believe. Silver Fox Bills might be able to correct me on this. I believe IP either 56 or 65 is rated to be outdoors. So whatever diesel heater you have and mounted it outdoors, or at least underslung underneath the vehicle, it needs to be at least IP rated or protected from the elements for sure. Will Shaw has just come on. He says, just bought this van and want to replace the T3 steering wheel. What size socket do I need? I should know this. I'm going to say a 30 or 32. I think. 30 or 32 for the centre of a T3 steering wheel. Tony Hemans. Gosh, I'm always so crap at that. Lost in a VW says, change my name to show my Instagram account now. Good job, my man. I know it's you. Of course I do. Silver Fox Bill says IP65 it is, winky smiley. Yes, so if you have anything outside the vehicle, be it an electrical socket or a diesel heater, it needs to be at least rated to IP65. Adrian Johnson's come back on and said, oh, and chasing a death rattle from the passenger side corner, debating whether to take the dash out. What's under the dash on the corner? What year is it? Does it have airbags? Does it have anything under there? Do you know what it is? I heard about it from a customer and I said, oh, you know about this fault, you must do, you deal with T5s all the time. Apparently, in the A-pillars of a T5, it is known that it's either the antenna aerial down the right-hand A-pillar, yeah, so the radio antenna, or the wiring on the left-hand side rattles in its clips. And so you need to cable tie those I believe you need to cable tie or at least put some form of cushioning down the wiring loom, down the A-pillars. So you just pull off those A-pillar trims and go from there. I haven't asked you yet. I know a couple of people have said, but put your hands up, just a little emoji if you've watched tonight's video yet. I know it wasn't a very long one, but it was a very useful one. I didn't go too in depth with the carpet lining because we've done more than one video on carpet lining and I show you how to move it and everything else. But what a stinker that headliner was. I mean, in the video we did previous, you could see how we just peeled the old headliner off and it was disgusting. And yeah, we managed to strip all of that old foam off. And I've done that job 100 times on Mark III Golf headliners, Mark II Golf headliners, T5s, T4s, etc., all the, I'm going to call them 90s and onwards headliners. So from Mark II Golf onwards headliners, they all have that stupid, horrible foam. And that's always the bit that breaks down. The foam actually just sort of comes apart. The glue's fine between the headliner and the foam and between the fabric and the foam. It's just the foam completely breaks down and you can just peel it off like an onion skin when it does get tired. So... and it's about finding that method. So yes, John Sears put his hand up, Motivates put his hand up, said he's watched the video today. Yeah, it's necessary. You can't just carpet over the existing fabric. You do need to, if your headliner's that knackered, you do need to terraform the foam, that's for sure. So yeah, Adrian Johnson says 2005, no airbags. Where are we? Because I've been nattering. So LN has come on. He says, Leigh, T25 Synchro, T25 High Top, T25 Tin Top, T25 Westphalia Pop Top. Got to get rid of a couple. Gosh, you do have the collection. That looks like my collection of Type 25s over time. Not all at one time. So that's a good collection right there. I was going to say that's greedy, but it's not because I own more than one car. That's a good collection. Will Shaw says, cool. The largest I had was 7/8, which was slightly too small. I'm sure it's a 30 or a 32. John Sear says, John from the Northeast, in the process of converting a Mark III Citroen Dispatch, medium wheelbase, windows and pop top have been fitted, and installation is well underway. Congratulations, John. That is an awesome effort. Michael B, do you find the Rustily bed swivels, Rustily single swivels rock? There is a small amount of lateral movement, but bearing in mind what you're asking a seat to do. You're asking this seat to not be mounted on 4 points anymore. You're asking it to be mounted in the middle so you can swivel it. Every swivel seat base I have ever fitted or ever sat in does have an element of rocking, and it's not massive. But you've got to bear in mind that the tolerance at the base of the seat on that bolt is going to be very minimal. But when you extend that axis all the way up to, say, the headrest or where you're moving, of course it's going to feel like it's rocking a lot. But in reality, the tolerance between those two is going to be minimal, and there's always got to be a minimal amount of tolerance, or at least space in between the two plates, otherwise you aren't going to swivel it. So in terms of what's the word I'm looking for, you've got to have some give. So between every single swivel bay I have seen, there is an element of movement, even when it's in a locked position, because it's got to, otherwise it won't swivel. You can't have it all locked down on 4 corners because it won't swivel. You are going to have a pivot point, an axle for it to do that, and that will introduce a slight amount of rocking. Can't have it both ways. James says, sorry, watch the F1 instead. I can believe it. Do you know what? We got rid of our Sky about 3 weeks ago, and then I was trying to get back into the Formula One. Oh well, I just have to watch highlights. IBTZ Khan, Ips Khan says, hello, what do you think the best order is for conversion work after installation? Electrical then panels and carpets, or would you get up to furniture first so you know where your sockets and lights, etc. are going? I could have said that again properly. Hello, what do you think the best order for conversion work after installation? Electrical then panels and carpets, or would you get up to furniture first so you know where sockets, lights, etc. are going? When we convert a van at the workshop, they're always custom. And most self-builds are too, because you might build an interior, go out camping in it with no electrics or anything like that and go, damn, I need my sockets here, or I'd like my heater controls there, etc., etc. So what we do is our interior goes in and out, in and out, in and out, all through the process of building it up. A, so we know it fits, B, so we know the customer's happy where it sits, and C, so we know where the utilities and controls are going to be. So yes, there is a order. Yes, we have written it on a blog on our website. It's a recommended order. However, we do say, and it comes up on Dan's build, on his T4 build, that you do have every element in and out. And again, I'm sure Silver Fox Builds will tell you that when it comes to building a camper van to exactly your style, you'll fit a piece of ply up 300 times. You'll have your seat in and out 300 times, just so you know that it's going in the right order. We don't, at King Valley Campers, we don't just convert the same T5, T6 platform day in, day out in 3 different interiors and 4 different colours. Everything we do is bespoke and custom for the customer's needs. So there's always a lot of messing around. Can you hear the baby herd of elephants upstairs, or my daughter, my 8-year-old? That's the one slamming around upstairs. So yes, I hope that answers your question. Yes, there is a preferred order, but no one's going to tell you off if you do it in whichever way you want. That's for sure. Taxi driver says, good video on the headlining. Thank you very much. Is it Adam from Brass Monkey? He says, at Michael B, I have the new design Rusty Leigh swivel installed. No rocking yet. Seems very solid. Will Shaw says, thanks though. Was it Will Shaw that asked a question about the swivel plate? I don't know. No, it was Michael B. Karen Passmore. Yes, I do Aspire each week. Yeah, from an earlier comment. Adam says, I had a nightmare carpeting the headliner. I will have to do it again. Waiting until the weather improves, though, as a bit of heat should help. Yes, absolutely. Michael B says, cheers, Leigh. Adrian Johnson says, I made the mistake of buying the 2-way stretch headliner. £100 later, I had to get a trimmer to do it, but now it looks awesome. Yeah, do you know what? That headliner was a nightmare, because I really, really wanted to get that trimmed in the same fabric, and somebody's already made a comment on the YouTube to say maybe use your steamer, and I didn't think about that at the time. I'm no upholsterer. I can play with 4-way stretch carpet all day. But I really wanted to retain a factory look as much as possible on that headliner, and I just couldn't manage it. So for the purpose of the video and showing you fine people how we do it, we went back to a 4-way stretch for sure. Marcus Harris. Good evening, Marcus. He says the stealth rear 240-volt socket compartment was so cool. Yes, it was. Yes, that was very cool. Karen Passmore says, I'm Karen. I have a 2015 2.5.1 and managed to drive almost 1 mile since purchase back on the 4th of March. Well, they take a lot of work, Karen. No one's gonna criticize you for it. That's for sure. Monkey Engine has come in and said, hi Leigh, looking at T6s, but keep getting told to buy older one without Blue Motion or Euro 6 because of reliability issues and repair costs. What's your opinion? Thanks, Jeff. I think the same goes with all modern vehicles. The more you have installed, the more there is to go wrong. People love the OG T5s because you've obviously got that good platform and you've got not a lot to go wrong. Like our 2K T5, for example, it's just a 1.9 TDI. It's got no aircon, it's got no power windows, it's got no power mirrors, etc., etc., etc. If you're in it for comfort and reliability, and you've got the budget, I want to say just buy the best you can afford and get the checks done. Service history has to check out, etc., etc. All modern cars generally are very reliable. There are a few bad eggs that do have faults, or there's some vehicles that haven't been looked after in the past. However, if your budget's not way up there, do bear in mind you are always buying a used vehicle. There may always be a fault with something. I'd love to give you a clear 100% answer. Yes, it's a T6 2.5 with an automatic gearbox, or yes, it's the T6 with a manual gearbox, or the T5 with nothing. It's completely down to your tastes. It's completely down to your budgets and your ability to get things fixed if they do go wrong. I certainly wouldn't dissuade anybody from getting the van of their dreams in terms of spec level. But do always take into account that the more you have, the more there is to go wrong. I hope that helps. Ips Khan says, nice one, dude. Great info. Thank you. Keep up the good work. You are more than welcome. Silver Fox Build says, one tip I would suggest is not to permanently fix anything at first. I would use bolts and threaded furniture fixings, as screws will lose their grip if you put bits in and out during the build. 100%. So yes, we're going back to that. Is there a right order in which to convert your van? No, there isn't. But in terms of pulling things in and out, in and out, in and out, yes, rather than screwing into the metalwork, say with the self-tapper, and then you've got to pull it in and out and in and out and in and out, you'll wallow that hole out over time. If you can have a threaded insert in the metal and then put a threaded fixture fastening in that, it will come in and out a lot easier, and you will have the ability to not only secure it with confidence, knowing that it's a threaded insert in the metal, but you will have the ability to take bits and pieces out easily if you can. Tony says, consider the clean air zones that are coming into force throughout the country. Yes, a very good point to consider. Motivate, is it common for a 3-seater T6 with a double swivel to have a driver swivel too? I'm regretting getting it, as it changes the internal kitchen plans from being ideal. Let me read that again. Is it common for 3-seater T6 vans with a double swivel to have a single driver swivel too? Generally, if you have a double swivel, some people won't go for the single, but it depends on your layout, really. Sorry, do excuse me. My contact lenses are getting a little sore. Definitely the end of the week, definitely the end of the day. It does completely depend on your layout. If you do have a regular kitchen layout, people still like to have that driver's seat swivel, even 90 degrees rather than the full 180, just because it sort of opens out the interior a bit more. You don't just have the harsh seat back facing. You can actually swivel that round 90 and it opens up the whole cab a bit more, makes it feel a little bit more open. Wowzers, that is definitely 3/4 of an hour already. Oof. I am feeling it this afternoon, this evening. How about you guys? Have you definitely done with the week? Have you relaxed this weekend? I have certainly relaxed this weekend, bearing in mind the hours I did last week. However, it's nice to have the chill time with your family, with your kiddywinks, and especially on Mother's Day, that's for sure. John Sear says, as swivel seats seem to be a topic tonight, that you're right. Do you know what? We do get into a topic I think we've had awnings one day, we had electric cars another. Yes, I do like the natural topics that come up. As swivel seats seem to be a topic tonight, are you aware of anyone that has produced a double swivel for the Mark III Citroen Dispatch? Off the top of my head, John, no. I can't remember. Do we do one for the Dispatch in which year? Email us, John, and we'll see what we can do. If you email us, say, hi, it's John Sear from the YouTube Live. I asked question X. We will do our best to look into that for you. Karen Passmore says, I have a 2010 Caddy Maxi WAV. WAV? That would be good for a micro camper if anyone wants one. Oh, it's a selling page now, is it, Karen? I see what you're doing. No, absolutely, Karen. Yes, or anybody out there, if anybody's interested in a micro camper, then please do get in touch with Karen. Looks to me that she has a 2010 Caddy Maxi. What does the WAV mean, though? God, John. John says, relaxed but spoilt my wife for Mother's Day. That's brilliant. That's awesome. Well done. Alex Renaud says, T25, do I want a Westphalia pop top or a sunroof? Ooh. 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 I don't know. Sunroofs are good for one thing. Leaking. Westphalia pop tops are generally very good. Monkey Engine said, thanks, food for thought. I really do fancy a later model. Again, Monkey Engine, the new T5s, T6s are exquisite. Like the spec levels they come in, the dashes are stunning. The gearboxes are better and better throughout the generations. They have stop start, all that sort of stuff. However, I'm a little bit old school in what I like to drive. The newest car I personally do own right now is the 2004 T5. That's still 20 years old, but it's still a T5. So I've got kind of a bit of both, best of both worlds right there. However, bearing in mind it's just clicked over to 215,000 miles, I am looking to get some bits replaced soon. Simon Massey says, forgot to say after last week, I read the Heritage Parts blog you contributed to about hitting a lull in conversions. The ideas have helped me find some motivation towards the van. Yes. Excellent stuff, man. Excellent stuff. Yes, if you haven't checked it out already, and I think my wife put a link to it in the comments last week. If not, please head over to the Heritage Parts Centre blogs and articles that they do, because somebody asked about how do you pick yourself up in terms of the lull in conversions or custom work or whatever. There's lots of different methods, and we contributed one of those ideas to Andy Gregory's article. Russ104 has come in and says, evening, bit late today, bedtimes and all that. Kids not mine. Hope you've all been having fun. Yeah, it's been a good one, actually. Topic of conversation this week seems to be swivel seat bases, which is never a bad thing. Motivate. Is stop-start not damaging for a diesel engine? I don't know enough about them, actually, Motivate. I do not know enough about them, so I cannot quite comment. Surely they wouldn't have put a facility within the engine that was damaging. I don't know. Carl Wilkes, I have a 6.1 Sportline. Do I add rear windows and a roof or leave as standard? Depends what you are going to be using it for, I guess. Do I add rear windows and a roof or leave as standard? Yes, depends what you're going to use it for. Are you going to use it for a camper van? Are you going to use it for a day van? You can use it for fishing or for work. Generally, windows and a roof. Well, a pop-top roof is almost like putting an extension on your house in the sense that you do add value. However, you may not always get that full value back, but it does add value to a van. R1H1 says, your van does look very tall. Lol. Does it? Josh, any recommendations for the alternatives to carpet lining the interior? I have used Cordura on the ply panels, which have come out great, but potentially looking for something for the metalwork. Funny you should say that, Josh, because I won't be carpet lining the inside of the 2K T5. I want to do something a little bit different. So I don't have any suggestions yet, but I am looking into it because, like you, Cordura type fabric, maybe even like a couch fabric, sofa fabric, for the inside panels of the T6. Haven't decided yet. Adrian Johnson said, have you fitted many double swivel seats with a driver's swivel seat and a T5? Do they all work together? Yes, I have, and yes, they do. They do work together, but generally they have to be branded the same. If they're not branded the same, some of the swivel seats actually have off-center swivels because some of the brands don't work with each other. So, and it's not a bad thing, they just don't work together. I believe Caravans or somebody similar do have an off-center single swivel for either the drivers or passengers. Don't quote me on it, but there are brands out there that do understand that the double swivel and the single swivel don't completely work together, so they off-center the axis on one of them, so they do. Danny Sykes says, just on the blog page for Heritage Park Centre, but can't find the article. Could somebody please post a link? Appreciated. Have a look on our posts, potentially on the Coombe Valley Campers either Instagram page or the Facebook page. But yes, I do understand what you're saying. Sometimes the Heritage Parts Centre, if you were to just put into Google maybe Heritage Parts Andy Gregory blog or Heritage Parts Project Car blog, I don't quite know. You might be able to find it. But yes, sometimes their website is a little difficult to navigate, especially on the blog section. Tony says, what's the best way to clean/lubricate the Rusty Leigh double swivel nylon plate, the white bit, just a way that it might gather muck and grind its way into the gap? To clean, I would definitely use a brake clean potentially, and maybe a high pressure airline just to clean some crap out of there. And some silicone grease, I believe, is what they use in there, like the spray silicone grease, just so it doesn't remain tacky. Like if you were to put white grease in there, yeah, that would work, but it tends to just sort of turn to grease. Well, it's white grease. So yeah, maybe a silicone grease in there if I remember right, because they are silicone pads. Do you know what? It's definitely Sunday evening today, isn't it? But I can ask Leigh if you wanted to ping us over an email, maybe just to remind me next week, from Monday onwards, the best way to clean and grease a Rusty Leigh swivel base, and I will get an answer from the man himself. Richard Sykes, I have a T5 with a 2+1 rear seats. The double folds flat, but the single only tilts. Is there any way of converting this to fold, or would I need to replace the seat? The T5, yes, only tilts forward. It doesn't fold flat. The later T6s and T6.1s, I believe, they fold completely flat. You could just go ahead and purchase one of those. However, they are very sought after, very expensive, and because they are very expensive and sought after, they are quite rare. They don't do a kit. So to finish that question, they don't do a kit. You do have to actually replace it, but you could potentially looking £700-800 to replace that seat, sadly. Motivate is confirmed. Yes, Caravans have the centre swivel. Adam from Brass Monkey Wedding Band says, can you recommend a top loader fridge, just deciding which design to go with behind the driver's seat? I believe, if I remember rightly, and this goes way back, I believe Dometic, depends on your space, but I believe Dometic or Vitrifico do a, hello dog. I believe either Dometic or Vitrifico. Anyone wants to see Ronnie? You want to say hello, Ron? Who's that? Who's this? I believe that either Vitrifico or Dometic do a top loader that's static. They also do a top loader where you can actually relocate the compressor section. So if you've got not a lot of room around your wheel arches, or you've got a custom application for your top loader fridge, there is an option to relocate that compressor section so you can use more space or utilize more space. R1H1, what awning rail would you suggest when I have roof bars? I want a roof mounted one, not side mounted. with roof bars. There's plenty out there that sit in the gutter channel, and then the sort of C channel pokes out the top. So say if this is the roof channel where your roof bars slot into, I believe there is a roof channel that fits into that contour, and then the C channel parts at the top. Is it Stitches and Steel that do it? I have fitted one before, but don't quote me on it. We'll have a look next week and get back to you. Karen Passmore says, wheelchair accessible vehicle. Oh yes, we spoke about that before. Alex Renouf says, I have my eyes on a Snowmaster fridge. I've not used a Snowmaster fridge. That sounds interesting though. Alex has gone, dog. Russ24 says, I bought, yes, you heard that, didn't you, Ronnie? I bought Dodo bonnet liner for my T4. When I looked under the factory liner, it didn't look like a good idea to cover it all up. I was thinking of it as an engine bay liner on a bulkhead. Any advice? I will have a chat with the guys at Dodo Mat next week. Again, Russ, ping us an email and remind us, say, Leigh, I just spoke to you on the live on Sunday. I need some advice regarding the engine bay on the bulkhead, and then I will answer that question next week. Tony says, Stitches and Steel fit their awning rails with racks. Yes. And somebody else has said, yes, Stitches and Steel. Simon says, Stitches and Steel do a C channel. I've got one fitted with a retro roof rack. And then Tony's come back and said, the profile you just mentioned, Leigh, is out of stock everywhere. So it does exist, and it is Stitches and Steel. I was right. So yes, there is an option. Seems to be out of stock. Sorry, pal. Do have a look on eBay and Amazon though. There might be somebody out there doing something different. If not, who knows? Maybe we can fabricate something out of L brackets. Who knows? Who knows? Right. I personally have 3 minutes left of this chat. We are currently at 57 minutes and 13 seconds. That means I'm out of here very shortly. But I just wanted to thank all of you so much for joining me again this evening. It seems like we've got a really good crew here now. We've stuck to around about the 40 viewers the entire time, which is wonderful. However, there are only 27 likes. So I'm going to do my last plea right now at 57 minutes and 30 seconds. If you haven't already done so, either please make a comment, just an emoji to say hi, does really, really well for us. Or if you've enjoyed the content or you've learned something from the answers, either from myself or one of the other contributors today, then please be sure to hit the little thumbs up icon on this video. It really helps us as a channel, helps me as a creator, and helps you in the long run so I can be on YouTube for longer. So yes, please, if you could do that, it'll be the only thing I ask of you tonight. Just give a little thumbs up for us. That would be fantastic. And if you haven't already, go and give all the other videos on the channel a thumbs up as well, because again, that would really, really help. Super duper, everybody. 58 minutes and 13 seconds. I do keep these quite strict at an hour, purely because it's a Sunday evening and I love seeing you guys. However, if it got out of hand, I could be here all bloody night. Russ24 has given us a thumbs up. Sweet. Taxi driver says, do you know of a swivel seat mechanism with an inbuilt slider, front and back seat adjustment, as I'm trying to save on seat base height? No, generally, if you have a swivel, they normally incorporate the seat runners on the actual seat itself or the seat base. I've not really seen one that incorporates both, I'm afraid. Right, that'll be it tonight, my guys. Thank you so much, my guys and gals. Hi Governor has given us a thumbs up. Monk Engine has given us a thumbs up. Yes, please, give us a thumbs up in the comments, but also if you find the button around the screen somewhere or in the bits down, you know, the text in the bottom as well, if you can find a thumbs up. Wonderful, wonderful. And if you know anybody else who might learn bits and pieces from our channel, please feel free to share the bits and pieces again. So yes, Danny Sykes says, thanks again, Leigh. Have a great week. You too. Simon Massey says, thanks again for your time, Leigh. Massively appreciated. Have a good week. You as well, Simon. Motivate says, thanks again for your time, Leigh. I'll be sure to send the pics. Please do. Adrian Johnson with a thumbs up. Governor 0011 with a thumbs up. John Sear says, thank you. Is that a Klingon? Is that Klingon? Something like that? Yeah. Liz O'Toole, liked. Thank you very much. Tony has gone 333. Get on there, my man. Taxi driver says, hope to see you next week. Have a good one. Are we seeing you next week? News to me. Okay. James says, thanks, Leigh. Have a good weekend. LN, with all the T25s, is giving us a wave. Vulcan, that's what it is. Vulcan. Yes, my sci-fi is not that great. However, I am really enjoying the new season of Mandalorian because that is really cool. Thank you once again, everybody. It has been really, really good to chat to you. Have a wonderful week. And with a bit of luck, we'll see you this time next Sunday at 8 p.m. Bye-bye.